in New York State, and Eileen is going to talk to us tonight about step 11. Thank you very much.
Thank
Eileen.
you. I'm Eileen. I'm an alcoholic.
Hi.
Eileen.
It's actually the Leonard Park group.
Sorry.
Sorry. No, no. I always like to give my home group. I like to express gratitude to my home group. I have a great group, as you have a great group here, and when I speak at a meeting, I'm an ambassador for that group. The 11th step is, I was thinking about the way this step is worded, and some of the steps, to me the wording is just so important. Like in the second step, we come to believe that a power greater than ourselves can restore us to sanity. It's not something that's patent when we come into the room. Some people perhaps know this, but most of us are led to it. And then each of the steps, there's just this kind of gentle progress that takes place. And then we come to this step where we seek through prayer and meditation to come closer to the ineffable grace that brought us to these rooms. When I first, I got sober, I stopped drinking. The day of my last drink was August 7th, 1978. And on August 6th, 1978, I didn't know that was going to be the last day that I was going to have my last drink. I had no idea that would happen. And nothing horrible happened to me. I don't want to talk about that here, but it was just when I woke up the next morning, and the sun was streaming through my windows, I just realized that I had to change something, that I couldn't go on anymore. And I realize now that light coming through the windows, for me, this was, I just had this feeling of God. I just can't even express it other than that. I just felt that there was something shedding light on me, figuratively and actually. And I saw some light that day and started me on the road to recovery. I believed in God, and although I didn't have a firm, at that time, way of communicating with God, and when I started doing these steps, I rediscovered that. And I got into very deeply into meditation, and would meditate sometimes for as long as an hour, and I would pray and ask God's help for me in my life. And amazing things have happened to me. I've prayed the hardest in my life, quite frankly, when something really awful was happening. And I really think that God has given me adversity in life to bring me closer to Him, because it always works. It always works. And it's not that I don't pray, it's just that when there's something really, there is nothing left for me except God. And the truth is, there's never anything left except God. There's sort of this illusion that there is something else other than God. And at those times when I've prayed so hard, I can't even express this. It was just an intensity and a frequency of prayer, that a situation that was hopeless or desperate, and this is while in sobriety, which has changed. I mean, something would happen, And it was usually something that I had, when I was thinking of solutions to a particular problem, the answer that was given to me was nothing that I would have thought about. It was just something that God presented to me. When I was reading this before I came here, I reread the 11th step in the Big Book, and when I pray, I pray for I've always prayed for knowledge of God's will, and that whatever that was, to give me the strength to accept it and to do whatever it is that God wants me to do. And it says here, we are careful never to pray for our own selfish ends. And I hear sometimes people saying, I never pray for myself. This isn't what this says. I think it's okay to pray for ourselves, but as long as it's not a selfish prayer. If we're praying God to help us in some way, not, God, please let me get that apartment on West End Avenue, or, I hope I win the lotto, and I promise that I'll be very generous with the money. I mean, those prayers are selfish prayers, but I've prayed sometimes, very deeply that God would help me get over a resentment, for me to accept somebody in my life in a way that I couldn't accept that person. I pray to God to help me be a better person. And the reason why I want to be better is not because I want people to think well of me. It's because I want to be of maximum service to people in my life and to everybody I come in contact with. I love the prayer that's in it's the prayer of St. Francis that's in the 12 and 12. I think it's in the 10th step. Is it the 10th step or I can't remember, 11th step? But anyway, I can't, where it talks about, being more of a comfort than being comforted, loving more than being loved, understanding more than being understood. And this is really hard. It sounds very beautiful, but it's really hard. I mean, sometimes I really, really want people to understand exactly what I'm saying. And, and I really would like, you to love me. But that's not what it's about. It's about us getting out of ourselves. And it says, we ask especially for freedom from self-will, and also for me, freedom from self-pity. I have, and also tolerance, because I have, it's the one character defect that I hate is self-pity. I always think that, especially for people like us who have so much to be grateful for. No matter what happens, we're not drinking, and I know my life is no matter what. I mean, some days I would say, at least I'm not drinking, and I can be grateful for that. And I also pray for tolerance for the people that I know who wallow in it, because I have to accept them for who they are. But I think it's, to me, it can be the death knell of our health in this program when we start feeling sorry for ourselves. And so I pray that to God every day that I maintain my gratitude, because that to me is what being living a spiritual life for me is, living a life of gratitude and being grateful not only for the wonderful things in my life, but also for things that have not been wonderful. I wrote a letter to my daughter, an email to my daughter who's 17, before I left. We live in the same house. It was just that I wanted to leave her a note before I left. And she's going through something difficult, and what I wrote to her were two things in my life that were long, when I was a child, long situations and circumstances that I had no control over, that were horrible, sometimes horrible, sometimes very, very difficult. And I've gotten to the point in my life where I look back on those things and I can see that those were blessings in my life, because it changed me and made me into a person. It gave me a perspective on life that has been very valuable to me. I don't want to talk too much longer about this because I'm really interested in what everybody else has to say. But I do believe, it's my own belief, that God does have a plan for my life, for everybody's life, and that God is interested in our lives. This is not a disinterested being. It's for me, God is something palatable. It's not only a belief in God, it's an experience of God that I've had and have. And this step helps us access that, if not immediately, then at some point. I was talking to somebody in my group who is having a terrible time. She's been coming in and out of AA for years. And she's asked everybody, there are a lot of men in my group, not a lot of women, relative to the men. And she's asked every woman now to be her sponsor. She hasn't asked me. And somebody said, well, now you should ask Eileen to be your sponsor. And she said, I'm not going to do that because she said, she'll make me do the steps, and I don't believe in the steps. And that's fine with me. You don't have to believe in the steps. It doesn't say you have to believe in the steps. It just says you have to do the steps. You do the steps. And based on doing it, something will happen. And that's how we get belief, because we have an experience of it. So anyway, who knows? Maybe she'll ask me to sponsor, maybe she won't. But all I know is that I didn't drink today. And I thank God for that. I listen to now what you have to say. And do you raise your hand, or do we go around the room? Or do we just talk?
You just
talk.
yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Eileen.
Thank you very much.